All right, so this is our first attempt at our blog. We're going to hopefully be able to call it But Seriously. We don't know as of yet if that's going to hold. But the whole idea is to help you to have a place to come and get more comfortable with what's going on in your life right now. You can go ahead and laugh. I know you want to. This is, again, we don't necessarily know exactly how this is going to unfold, but give you a little background, a little history of what this is all about. First, the purpose of this is really twofold. It's in the immediate, it's so that our friends and family can keep up with what's going on with my health and where it's progressing and where we're going. And two, I hope that it's going to be a tool that other people out there can use to get a better understanding of living a life with ulcerative colitis and some of the decisions you ultimately have to make. Now, there's a couple things I want to make sure I share right up front about how this is going to go. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be talking about things that you as a person that doesn't know me may not find uncomfortable, but it may be a topic that is uncomfortable. And for my friends and family, if it's uncomfortable, I'm not going to apologize because I want you to understand what's been going on and where we've gotten to this point. The other thing is that my faith, our faith is extremely important to us. And so we will be bringing an aspect of what our walk has been like and how it's actually strengthened through this time. So we hope that you find an opportunity to have that as part of your time in these videos. And the final thing that I want to make sure of is that going out and seeing these videos, a lot of times they are just really, really long, full of stuff that may or may not be useful. I want to try to make them short and to the point. With that said, this first one's probably going to be a little bit longer because we're going to kind of give you an intro again into what's been going on and things like that. So my name is Matthew. This is my lovely bride, Beth. And I've been talking this entire time, but anything you want to share up to this point?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay. So tell you a little bit about the background of where we've gotten to this point. I'm 43, close to 44. I've been diagnosed for about 11 years with ulcerative colitis. And it started off real simple.
Oh, wait, babe. What's ulcerative colitis?
So,
for those that may not know.
Yeah, so ulcerative colitis is in the family of irritable bowel syndrome. Things such as IBS, IBSD, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, these are all different things that fall into this family. And you can have different versions and symptoms of them. You don't necessarily progress through them. You can have irritable bowel and end up developing some of the other things, but it's not that you necessarily progress from IBS to ulcerative colitis to Crohn's. That's not really how this works in this family.
But it's an autoimmune disease, so it's basically your body is just attacking itself. Like it's not just a virus or something that's going to go away. It's once you have it, you have it. You can go into remissive states at times, but I think it's safe to say it's been years since you've been in a remission, if you've ever actually been in complete remission.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually been in remission. And if you're going through this right now, I'm going to tell you that the number one thing that you need is someone by your side. I don't mean just literally, but figuratively as well, because my lovely bride she does all my research. She digs in. She's joined Facebook groups to find out, things that are going on with this. And not that I'm not interested in things of that sort. As far as joining groups and stuff, because I am, but it just helps to have someone that cares to be a part of what's going on so that you're not on your own. So that's the number one thing. Make sure you've got someone that is right there with you along the way. And even if you're not married, if you're not dating someone, if you don't have a best friend that you think you can go along with, then join the groups and find some support in there as well.
Yep. All right, now you can go back and start with your medical history.
All right, so I'm 43, been diagnosed about 11 years ago, and it started off like, if you're here seeing this as someone who's looked it up, then you know what it started off. There's blood and there's a mucus type material in your movements, and it's just unusual. It's not, it may not be that frequent, it just kind of starts. And you feel an urge to have a bowel movement, and that's what occurs. And then occasionally as it progresses, you might see more blood, you might see more mucus, you might have more frequency. Just as you go along, these things are going to start to happen. And so with my treatment, I have been through a number of things, and I've written them all down here. So in 11 years, Beth mentioned, how long it's been since I was in a remission. I don't think I've ever been in a remission. I believe I've just progressively gotten worse, and I believe that there have been medications and there's been treatments that have helped, but nowhere close to a remission where I was back to normal. And what normal means is different for everybody. We all have something, we have a different normal now. Before I had this, a healthy day for me was twice a day. I had 2 movements. I was good, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And in my best of days with ulcerative colitis, 5 or 6 movements. My worst of days, we have counted up to 25 to 30 times. So it just really depends. Diet is a big factor. We will talk about this as we move forward, I'm sure, but if you can do things to change your diet, getting back to what God intended, and that is, not eating processed foods, not eating fake stuff, eating all natural, real stuff, it can help. Highly recommend that. We are looking to change up some things, and for me with keto, and then I've always been active and exercised, and that doesn't, for me, actually doesn't seem to help. It doesn't seem to make it better, but it definitely doesn't hurt. So I recommend those things. All right, so talking a little bit about the medications that I have done. So let's go through the list. Oral medications I've done: Acecol, Lialda, mercaptopurine or 6-MP, methotrexate, along with that folic acid. Xeljanz is the latest one, and prednisone constantly throughout the entire process. That's just oral medications. Infusions, I've done Remicade and Entyvio. Been on these for both of them. Remicade was about almost 3 years, I would say. I would say about almost 3 years.
I think they all,
And
we
then-
started infusions in 2012.
Yeah, and then Entyvio at least 2 years. So somewhere around 2 to 3 years with each one. Suppositories, Canasa, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and mesalamine, or both. I'm going to come back to suppositories in just a second. And then in our studies,
Excited people.
yeah, and then in our studies of things that we could try to do naturally, of course, probiotics, turmeric, bromelain, iron supplements, multivitamins, fish oil, aloe vera gel, chlorophyll, and IBGard. Again, tried these things in a regular regimen. Whether they're helping, I don't really know, just because nothing seems to actually cause a suppression of my UC. But I can't believe that they're actually hurting. So I've stayed on those. But given things that are coming up, I am progressively, as I run out of these things, we'll stop using them. So I'm going to talk a little bit about suppositories, okay? I fully respect what my doctor was doing with the suppository. But if you're here seeing this and you have symptoms of UC, or you know me and you know the symptoms of UC, the whole thing that's going on is that I don't have the last part of the process that solidifies the movement. When it gets to that point, it just wants to get out. And now I'm being prescribed things that are going the opposite way, and
The goal is for it to stay there for quite a while.
yeah, the goal is for the suppository to stay there for a while. One is a liquid, one is a solid suppository. You put those in, and if I'm lucky, I get 30 minutes because I've now got something that is going in, and my natural body's reaction is to push it back out, and my body's already trying to push everything out. I didn't understand the purpose of the suppository. So that's just my thought. If your doctor prescribes suppositories, just have an honest conversation about the whole fact that I'm putting something in an area that already wants to push out naturally, and now it really wants to push out. Is this the best thing? And if you're not, haven't progressed that far, maybe it is an okay thing.
Well, he found the suppository that just kind of annoying. The mesalamine is the same thing as Acecol or Lialda. So it's the same medication. It's just being delivered directly as a liquid because we know that our bodies absorb medications faster through our mucosal membrane. So it's going directly to the irritated area. The point is you're getting your mesalamine there immediately if it can hang out in there for a while,
It very
which
rarely
becomes
does.
difficult.
Yeah. So,
But he still does them on occasion, just because he has them, and why not?
yeah, I feel like I'm having a good day. I'm gonna be able to go a few hours, then I'll pop that bad boy in, and we'll see what happens. So some things, other things. Again, if you're here for the first time and you're trying to find out what life with UC is like, I'm going to tell you that it's different for everybody. You might be able to be on a mild medication because you'll see commercials all the time for mild to moderate ulcerative colitis. At this point, I am severe ulcerative colitis. I would call it that. And so a lot of the drugs, clearly, as you've seen from this list, the drugs just haven't worked for me, but they may work for you.
And some of them did work for a while. It just kind of wore off.
Yeah, nothing stuck around. Anyway, so here's kind of the harsh reality of it. You now live a life where you have to be worried about all kinds of things in your planning and what you do because you need to know where bathrooms are. The commercials are not over exaggerating that. Your lifestyle does change. It does become difficult to do things. You will potentially have accidents. You might potentially have to pull over on the side of the road and jump in the woods. There's all kinds of different things that, and I'm speaking from experience, by the way. There's all kinds of different things that can occur from this. It might just be a mild irritation for you for the rest of your life. There's just different levels of it, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that you are on the other end of the spectrum. If you are at the other end of the spectrum, where I have gotten to in 11 years, then there's a couple things. One, it can always be worse. I'm going to tell you that right now. I can still function. I can still plan accordingly to for my job, for my family, for things. There's times it's inconvenient. There's times that I don't want to go places. There's times I don't want to do things. But I haven't been hospitalized. I have not had issues where I, for long periods of time, can't go places. It's, in general, I've been able to continue to live a pretty functional life, but it is still debilitating. It is still frustrating, and it has still been something that causes anxiety and stress on my life. But I'm telling you, there's two things that have gotten me through all of this. So again, it is now there have been a couple times that I was sick enough that maybe I should have been hospitalized,
For sure.
but I never have been. And being in these groups and seeing some of the things that people go through, they can't go to work, they can't go out because the pain is just excruciating. For me, my pain is just in the colon. I do not have cramps. I don't have a lot of stomach pain. Every once in a while I will, but not really. All mine is colon, rectum based. So, the biggest problem with this is the stress and anxiety. And going to the doctors have gotten me through medically on some of this stuff, but there's really only been two things that have been able to get me through all of this as it's been going on. And the first is my Lord and Savior and my faith. So I'm going to lump those two together. And then this wonderful woman here and everything that she is to me, but more importantly, everything she's been for me through all of this. And I want to just share a couple of things here. Isaiah 41:13 tells us, "For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, 'Do not fear, I will help you.'" 1 Peter 5:7, "Cast all anxieties on him because he cares for you."
Sorry.
Because he cares for you. I have been asked how, am I putting up some type of brave front because my family, especially my kids, have literally used the words, had no idea it was this bad. It's not a matter of any type of brave front. You can either succumb to a couple things here. You can succumb to something that is debilitating, and you succumbing to it makes it more debilitating, or you can fight that urge. You can succumb to the stress and anxiety and just not live your life, and that makes it worse. Or you can just be a planner and just know where bathrooms are and what you can't, but know your limits as well. It doesn't mean you become some type of Superman or Superwoman. What it means is that you don't let it completely destroy you from the inside out, literally and figuratively. Um, the easiest thing to be would be to constantly mope and complain and say the woe is me and the why me. But James 1, 2 through 4 tells us that find joy in the trials, because when our faith is tested, that is what proves and strengthens our perseverance. And it lets perseverance finish the work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking for anything. So in the trials, we find joy in the trials because the testing of our faith is what helps our faith to strengthen. We draw closer to God in knowing that everything He is doing is to our good. Romans 8:28, and we know that God works all things to the good for those that love Him, as are called for His purpose. So we're all called for a purpose. Even in these type of trials and these type of things, we're all called for a purpose. We don't always understand what that purpose is. I don't understand the purpose. I don't necessarily understand why I can't live the life I used to, other than the fact that we live in a broken and fallen world, and I live in a broken body, and we deal with sickness, we deal with things, and it could always be worse. It could. And I find joy in the fact of when it's not bad, and I find an opportunity to go to my knees in prayer when it is bad. And I can say that our faith and our walk is strengthened by our efforts to want to draw closer to God. And in these times of wandering with the wise is what's also drawn us closer. So no matter what your faith is, no matter what your beliefs are, find that strength, find that ability to have that strength. Find the person that you can bring alongside you. Meditate. I'm going to encourage you, go to Lord in prayer, and just find that time to do that. But let your body heal mentally, spiritually, and holistically, so that it will heal physically. And we're going to talk about some of the food things as we move on. But I just want to really kind of give you guys an intro and tell you what's been going on. Did have my last colonoscopy about a month ago. 2 months ago, about 2 months ago. And nothing precancerous. So see, there is the joy in the trial. You find the joy in knowing that there's nothing precancerous. I'm just dealing with an irritated bowel. And I know that making that statement seems to oversimplify it, but again, I can just sit in the crap and let it suck, or I can fight through it and just get comfortable with what's going on. So I did have surgical consult. So this is what this is all leading up to kind of this intro for everybody. So I had surgical consult, and I am just given the condition of my colon and the condition of my life with things. I am a candidate for surgery, tentatively for the end of August. So we will provide more on that. Where we want to work on these blogs, there's a couple things. The first thing is I want to try to do these at least once a week leading up to surgery, and then do it through the surgery and recovery, and just kind of keep it going for the post-life. My next big, I don't want to call it a hurdle, but my next big thing to have to take care of is with my job. I have to have the conversation with my manager. I'm in sales, and so travel is a big part of what I do. I will say that I know from the doctor that that's not going to be impeded that for that long of a period of time. I will have recovery time, but that won't be an impediment. But I do have to have the conversation with my leadership about what my job's going to look like for the next few months. So outside of that, there's a great video out there. Go ahead and look it up. If we can get the okay to share it, we'll try to share that probably next time or sometime in the future. But go ahead and look it up. It's about a J pouch surgery, and it'll walk you through kind of what's going on. Any other thoughts? Anything else that you wanted to add here on the front end?
Can't really think of anything.
So I just want to close real simple, and I'm going to probably try to close this way most times. Just listen, this sucks. It does suck. I'm not going to minimize that at all. But fear is a liar, and anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. And just don't go this alone. Do not try to do this by yourself. There's support out there. There's people that love you. Reach out to us if you can. You can leave a comment. But join groups and do not go this alone. All right. So good luck. We'll see you next time, and God bless.